What up, though? Welcome to Gangsta's Paradise. This is where I kick cautionary street tales. Do me a favor, family. Click that subscribe button and click that like button. Support Gangsta's Paradise by checking out GP Face Mask on Teespring. If you're into retro Jordans or Air Force Ones, click my Amazon link in the description. I want to thank everyone that checked out Family Cartels 3. It's my top video for the month of April, and I do have Family Cartels 4 coming soon. I always got to salute to the audience. I appreciate y'all checking out Gangsta's Paradise, which brings us to the great city of Memphis, Tennessee, the Mid-South. Memphis is the Mid-South. In 5 hours, you can be in New Orleans. In 5 hours, you can be in Atlanta, Georgia. Texas is not that far, and it sits right in between Mississippi and Arkansas, so it's basically a tri-state area deal. It's considered the big city in the area. Now, it's a lot of variables when it comes to the Bluff City. I love Memphis, personally, me, myself. This is Cautionary Street Tales, Intervention and Prevention. But it's a great city. It's a lot of rich history in Memphis, Tennessee. A lot of great things. You have things like the National Civil Rights Museum. The Lorraine Hotel is where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Today it's a museum. And this place right here really attracts a lot of liberals into this town. So you get the chance to talk to a lot of liberals. And I can tell you they're contrastingly different than conservatives. You will see a lot of white liberals at the National Civil Rights Museum. Then you have Stax Museum. Stax Records was a powerhouse back in the 70s. Then you have legendary artists that's from here, like Isaac Hayes and Al Green. Al Green is a minister today. I actually went over to his church a couple of times, so I had a chance to see one of his sermons right there in Memphis, Tennessee. Then you have your hip hop scene. You have legends like 3 6 Mafia, who was very instrumental in popularizing that Memphis sound, that crunk sound. A lot of that trap music that people hear today is derived off that crunk sound that came out of Memphis, Tennessee. You got famous artists like Yo Gotti. Then you have legendary artists like Player Fly. Like, you can go down the list when it comes to hip hop legends and what they contributed to music. Then it's a big blues scene. It's definitely heavy into the blues. So you have artists like B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland, legendary artists. Then, of course, you got Bill Street. Definitely Bill Street. And even an old country boy that put rock and roll on the map, that really popularized rock and roll, Elvis Presley, which attracts people from all over the world. It's definitely a tourist attraction in Memphis, Tennessee. So Memphis do have people that come here from all over the world just to go to the National Civil Rights Museum, or just to go over to Graceland, or just to go to Bill Street. So it's a lot popping in that city. It's definitely historical, and they do have a lot of rich history right off the Mississippi River. And just like anywhere else, it has its underworld. It has its crime. It's definitely a high crime city. It's definitely, most of the time, always ranked in the top 10 in terms of crime, but it doesn't stop the tourism in this town. That's for sure. Them lines get mighty long over there at Graceland, but the pandemic slowed it down, but I know they can't wait to get back in full force. It's definitely a money-making machine, Graceland. But you got your hustlers, you got your pimps, and whatever else you want to name when it comes to the streets. The general consensus is that the South is slow. I beg to differ. They definitely not slow. You can come from whatever city, you name it. If you think you fast and you slick and all that type stuff, that don't fly in Memphis, Tennessee. They got game for you, and they ready for game. Like Willie D say, if you think it's slow, pump the gas and watch to see what happened to you. Definitely got a gang culture. There's a big population of GDs and vice lords in Memphis, Tennessee, which is, GDs and vice lords is generally considered Midwestern and Southern gangs. If you flossing in your town, they flossing in Memphis. If you get money in your town, they get money in Memphis. They can offer anything you want when it comes to the streets, which brings me to drug lord Craig Petties, the Midsouth plug, who happens to be the half brother to legendary producer and rapper DJ Paul of 3-6 Mafia. This dude right here was moving a lot of work. I think people say he was doing it big as BMF. His crew was just as deep as BMF. Probably doing it bigger than BMF. I don't know, but this is one of those guys that was on that BMF level. And they say he was working directly with the Sinaloa cartel, which was headed by El Chapo at the time. Interesting. In 2009, Petties pleaded guilty to 19 charges related to his role as the ringleader of one of the largest drug trafficking organizations ever prosecuted in West Tennessee. Petties and the other members of his criminal racketeering enterprise conspired with cocaine traffickers in Mexico, Texas, Mississippi, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and elsewhere. As part of the conspiracy, cocaine was prepared, packaged, and or stored prior to distribution to buyers and stash houses. The defendant and the co-conspirators used these stash houses to avoid detection by law enforcement authorities. Yeah, that's when your stuff is too sophisticated for the local authorities, Because if you listen to a lot of the documentaries and you listen to a lot of the Kingpins, one of the main things they were worried about was actually getting caught with the dope. They didn't realize that the feds can bring conspiracy charges to you. It's one of the reasons why be so many agencies be involved in these cases. The co-conspirators delivered large amounts of currency derived from the sale of cocaine from the Western District of Tennessee and elsewhere to Texas and Mexico in order to facilitate continued drug trafficking, in order to prevent others from cooperating with law enforcement. It was further part of the conspiracy, see that with that word conspiracy, that the defendant and the co-conspirators did kill other people. Yeah, I think some murders was actually involved in his case. That's probably why they gave him 9 life sentences. That's a long time, 9 life sentences. And he's already in his 40s, so he's never going to get out of prison. These guys are doing it mighty big. Like I say, it just be a lot of money floating around the country when it comes to the underworld. El Chapo was the most powerful drug lord in the world, and he had his ties in the Mid-South, particularly South Memphis. It was a branch of his cartel who was blamed for trafficking cocaine and drugs into the neighborhood through Memphis Drug Connection, headed by Craig Petties. Yeah, like I said, it's the Mid-South. Petties gained acceptance from the Mexican drug cartel. He started as a petty drug dealer in the Riverview neighborhood of South Memphis, where he grew up. That's usually how people start. They start on a smaller level and they just blow up. Petties worked his way up by expanding his business beyond Memphis to include the entire Southeast. He was known to buy and sell big quantities of drugs fast. He impressed the Mexican bosses, and when the feds started moving in on Petties, he headed across the border, where the drug lords helped hide him. Guzman and his cohorts helped Petties continue his ruthless drug business in Memphis. And you know, when they come with cases like this, it usually be large. They usually slap at least 30 or 40, 50 people with cases with all these conspiracy charges. You had this one guy they called La Barbie, who worked with a major Mexican cartel and reportedly also with Memphis Kingpin Craig Petties, has been sentenced to 49 years. Yeah, that was one of those guys who got caught up in that. Guy, his name was Edgar Valdez Villarreal. Then you had guys like Demetrius Fields, Clinton Lewis, Martin Lewis, a woman named Tamara Strickland. There was a lot of people got caught up on that case. I think Clinton Lewis and Martin Lewis was the only one that actually went to trial. But Craig Petties, he ended up pleading guilty to all those charges. I guess they were saying, hey, you try to fight this and lose this, you can get the death penalty. I believe, you know, that's usually what happens when it comes to that situation. And then you'll go ahead and just plead guilty, you know, but he got 9 life sentences. I don't know how many drug dealers got a sentence like that in America. Somebody tell me. As a matter of fact, family, make sure y'all click that subscribe button and click that like button. Y'all tell me what drug dealer or kingpin got a sentence like that, got a 9 life sentence. I know there's a lot of them that got life sentences, and of course they run it consecutively, but I want to know about any kingpin in America that got more than 9 life sentences or got as much. You know, that's a mighty long time. So these guys had to be doing a lot of stuff when it comes to that drug trade. Like I say, he was doing it just as big as any other clique, organization, or kingpin. And this is intervention and prevention, so we don't want to see our young males become the next Craig Petties. We're trying to keep our young males from going to prison or ending up in the graveyard way too soon. The dismantling of Petties' organization brought his reign of terror to an abrupt end. Petties, who was dubbed as powerful drug lord, trafficked vast quantities of cocaine and marijuana and was one of the most violent and notorious drug dealers in Memphis history. Like I said, they bring out all these agencies to stop these organizations. This investigation was conducted in conjunction with prosecutors in Memphis and part of the Department of Justice's Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Forces program, which seeks to reduce the availability of drugs by disrupting and dismantling major drug trafficking organizations, money laundering organizations, and related criminal enterprises. This case was investigated by the DEA, the United States Marshal Service, the Memphis Police Department, the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, and the Olive Branch Police Department. And you got to remember, he went on a run across the border, so they had to use the Mexican authorities to actually get him back over here. You know, they actually arrested him over there and extradited him back over here. You know, it's interesting. This guy was he was the real deal. You know, he was the man. So about Craig Petties, the Midsouth plug. You know, make sure y'all subscribe to this channel. Click that like button. Leave me a comment. One love, family. One love.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Blakeney with Elevated Wealth Group out of Orlando, Florida, and I am a financial educational coach. I love to help people learn how money works and the 3 rules of money. Learn the rules, understand the rules, apply the rules, and take action. By doing so, I have taught people to save thousands of dollars for their financial future. My motto is, financial fitness is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes.